Now for our story. Del Shipley and Lily Devon had just arrived back in Chicago after a weekend in Wakefield visiting Aunt Mary. Although it was almost midnight, they went straight to Del's nightclub, the Golden Peacock. Del had gone into her office and Lily to the dressing room she shares with Lisa Fenner. As Lily enters, she finds Lisa seated at the dressing table, removing her makeup.
Hi, Sugar.
Why, Lily, did you just get in?
Oh, been here a few minutes.
Oh,
Saw the tail end of the show. Caught part of your act. Looked good.
thank you, Lily. When you didn't come earlier, I decided you must have planned to stay over another night.
No, we left late. Took our time driving in.
Oh?
Oh, boy, I'm tired. It's just beginning to hit me.
I can imagine. But, you did have a good time, I hope.
Oh, sure, had a swell time.
I thought you would. How's Aunt Mary?
She's just fine. Busy.
Always is. What about Peggy? She must have been awfully pleased to see you.
Seemed to be.
The rest of the family? Lefty?
I didn't see much of him. He was away quite a lot.
Oh? That's funny. He was around most of the time when I was there.
Well, evidently he's become quite a gadabout. What you looking for?
A mirror.
Oh. Here you are, kid.
Thanks. Well, how did you like Randy?
Randy? Oh, he's okay.
Did you see much of him? Talk to him?
Yeah. We had quite a long talk one day.
You don't sound very enthusiastic.
Oh, sure, what do you want me to do, turn handsprings? Guy seems to have all his buttons. Well, that's about all I can say at this point.
Well, who else did you meet, Lily? Anybody from town? The Lanes have so many friends that...
Well, let's see. Saw David Bowman once. You know, the fellow who owns the bank.
Oh, yes. I like Mr. Bowman.
So do I. Oh, funny. Somebody said he's Kit Meade's uncle. I was surprised.
Kit Meade.
Yeah. It's hard to believe such a swell guy could be related to her. What a witch.
Then you did see Kit.
Oh, no, Lisa, I didn't see her. I'm darn glad I didn't. I've always had a feeling if I should ever run into her, I'd probably disgrace myself.
Why, Lily?
Well, I've never heard a single good thing about that babe. You must know what she's like. You've met her, haven't you?
Me?
Yeah. Didn't you tell me once that you had?
Oh. Why? Well, yes, I knew her slightly in California. That was before she had her baby. Been wondering.
Wondering what?
Well, how the baby looks by now. I thought you might have seen him around town with Kit.
No. Even if I had, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about it. You know me, Lisa. I don't go into tailspins every time I see an infant. They all look the same to me.
Oh, Billy, I don't believe you. You're just saying that.
Oh, on the level. That's the way I feel.
I don't believe it. You're probably just as foolish about babies as any other woman.
I'm foolish, all right, but not about baby sugar. Hey, where's the party? How come the hairdo's such a creation?
No creation. I'm just having a time with it tonight. Won't behave.
Nuts. It looks terrific. Isn't that a new dress?
I couldn't resist it. Lance always used to love me in yellow. But tell me more about your trip.
Well, got in my share of eating and sleeping.
That's good for you. You're supposed to relax on a vacation.
Oh, brother, I did. In fact, I did such a good job of unwinding. I'm kind of afraid it'll take me a long time to get wound up to the point of doing any work.
Oh, I'm not worried with your energy.
Hey, speaking of energy, that Randy sure has a lot. Oh, he's a real beaver around that farm. Working all the time.
Yes. He was like that while I was there. He's so anxious to get the farm back into shape after being overseas all those years.
Yeah. He even got me tangled up working around the place.
He did?
Yeah. I got a big kick out of it, too. Working in the garden.
Gardening? You, Lily? Oh, I can't imagine it.
Well, why not? Well, not exactly the frail type, you know.
It isn't that. I just didn't think you'd be interested in doing something like that.
Oh, well, I'm full of surprises.
Yes, Lily, you really are. Oh, I know it's a mistake to try and pigeonhole people, but still...
Well, I'll admit it kind of threw me for a loop at first. Something like that. But I got a big kick out of it. See, Randy was out there with his shirt off, working away. had this big plot all laid out with stakes and strings and stuff, and he was digging it up. Well, I was talking to him, and I made the mistake of saying it looked like fun.
So he invited you to help?
Yeah. Then afterward, we planted a lot of stuff. Vegetables. Or rather, he did. He says they'll probably be up by the time I get back.
By the time you get back? You mean you're going back to Wakefield again?
Yeah. Next weekend. I've been holding out on you, saving the really big news for last, but I want to ask you first, Lisa. I mean, were you awfully lonesome over the weekend, being alone in the apartment?
No, not too much. I've lived alone quite a lot, you know. I'm used to it.
No, I'm glad then. Because it looks as if I'm going to be staying in Wakefield for quite a while.
But I don't understand, Lily. You don't mean you're going to give up your job here at the Peacock and leave town?
Yep, that's the plan today. Well, I don't wonder it floors you. I guess it does seem kind of funny, me pulling up stakes after being in one groove for so long. But that's what I intend to do.
I wish you'd explain. I
Oh,
can't...
here's the deal, Lisa. Aunt Mary's been wanting to start this place for the youngsters. You know, the teenage kids.
Uh-huh.
Oh, they're sort of running around loose down there because there's no decent place for them to go.
Oh, yes. She was going to some kind of town meetings about it while I was there.
That's right. This scheme's been on the fire for quite a while. That was one of the reasons she wanted Dell to come down. She wanted Dell to run it.
Oh?
But Dell had to turn it down. On account of Lefty and, well, lots of reasons. She knew it would never work out for her to move to Wakefield with him feeling like he does. Well, even to get the thing underway and go back and forth, she'd still have to be around quite a lot. So much as she hated to, she had to turn it down.
Aunt Mary must have been awfully disappointed.
She was. That's where I stepped into the picture. All of a sudden it hit me. I thought, why shouldn't I get a change of scenery? I've been knocking myself out here in Chicago for quite a long time.
Yes, but, Lily, living in a little town like Wakefield, well, won't you get awfully bored? Get up? There's hardly anything to do, and if you're not used to that kind of life...
That's exactly the way Dell talked. Everybody must think I'm a city slicker or something. Except Randy.
Oh? What does Randy say about it? Is he in favor of the idea?
Well, I didn't discuss it with him after I made up my mind. But I don't think he'll be so surprised.
Maybe not. But then he doesn't know you very well either.
No, but he learns fast. Well, not that Randy's got anything to do with it. Point is, I'm going to manage and run the supper room for Dell. Kids will take the place over every Friday night for their dances. So if you're worried about how I'll spend my evenings, I'll be up to my neck in work, at least for the first few months. I do want to do a good job of it. It means a lot to Aunt Mary. It's a wonderful opportunity for me, managing a place all by myself. You can stay on at the apartment, of course.
Are you sure that'll be all right with you?
Oh, yeah, I want you to. That way I'll have a place to come back to if anything goes wrong.
Don't worry. You'll probably make a big success of it.
I hope so. But you never can tell, Lisa. Every once in a while when I think about it, I get kind of scared about pulling up stakes here and...
Managing the supper club?
Well, that and a couple of other things. Oh, you seem to have company. Expecting someone?
No. Come in. Vance.
Lisa Fenner stared at her husband wide-eyed, her face pale. The last time she'd seen him, Lisa had told Lance she no longer loved him. And when he left, she felt certain she'd never see him again. What did this visit mean? Now for our story. When the door to her dressing room had opened, revealing the figure of a man, Lisa Fenner could not suppress the startled amazement that was expressed in one word.
Lance.
Lance Fenner, her husband, whom Lisa had never expected to see again, had returned. As husband and wife looked at each other, each lost in overwhelming emotions, Lily Devon, the young entertainer with whom Lisa shared the dressing room, slipped unnoticed out through the door. At last, Lance speaks.
Hello, Lisa. May I come in?
Well, since you're here, Lance,
Don't look so frightened, darling.
I'm not frightened.
Well, this isn't the first time I've come to your dressing room after a show to talk things over. While you wait to get ready to leave.
No, but...
I'll just sit here on this stool where I can watch you in the mirror. Ah, this is wonderful. Like old times. You're even using the same powder. Gosh, that perfume brings back memories.
Lance, what are you doing here?
I wanted to talk to you.
But it's no use, Lance. I don't want to talk about what used to be. It doesn't help anything.
I didn't come to talk about the past, darling. I'm interested in the present and the future.
There is no future for us. And no present either. You'd better go, Lance, please.
Lisa, I saw the show tonight. I was so proud of you. You're wonderful, darling. Better than ever.
Thank you.
Well, don't think I'm flattering you, dearest. Where your work's concerned, I've always been able to stand aside. Be impersonal. Isn't that true?
Yes, Lance. I've always trusted your judgment.
Is that a new dress?
Yes.
You were thinking of me when you bought it, weren't you? You know, I've always loved you in yellow.
I like yellow, too.
Come on now. Confess.
Oh, Lance, you make it so difficult for me to...
Lisa, you're not really angry with me for coming, are you?
Not angry, Lance, but... Well, it seems so useless. I thought you were leaving town. You said you were going on to New York.
Yes, but I changed my mind.
But you said you had such a good offer.
I got a better one here in Chicago.
Oh. Then you're not going away?
I don't want to.
What sort of a job is it, Lance? Is it a good place?
One of the best. You'll like it.
I'll like it. I don't know what you mean.
The offer is for us, darling. It's for Lisa and Lance Fenner.
You mean someone offered you an engagement if we'd work together?
No, it wasn't quite like that. You see, I told them we'd soon be available as a team.
But, Lance, what on earth made you do a thing like that? You know very well, I told you before...
Yes, Lisa. I know what you told me.
Well, then...
And for a couple of days, I really believed you. But then I got to thinking about it, and...
I don't see what there was to think about. I tried to make it very plain how I felt.
That's just it. You tried so hard. Too hard. You didn't put it over, Lisa. You're a wonderful dancer. But as an actress, you're not so convincing.
You think I didn't mean it when I told you I don't love you anymore?
You're right. I don't believe you. You see, darling, the thing that makes a good actress is believing in the part. So it comes straight from inside, from the heart. But that little performance you put on up at Lily Devon's apartment wasn't like that. It flopped.
You're awfully sure of yourself.
Oh, I'll admit it took me in at the time, the way a bad play does. You don't realize what's wrong until later when you get to thinking the whole thing over.
Oh, Lance, you're talking nonsense. All this has nothing to do with what I told you.
But it has. Because there was a big difference between what you told me and what you felt. I'm sure of it now.
No. No, you're wrong.
Lisa, it won't work. You can't fool me again. I know you too well, darling. I know the way you look when you wake up in the morning, like a sleepy little girl. I know how you look when you're happy and when you're hurt. And I know how you look when you're trying to hide what you feel.
You just think you do. I've changed, Lance. It's been a long time.
Yes, it has. It's been centuries. But it hasn't been long enough for me to forget. The last night I saw you, when you sent me away, I was so excited, so overcome just with seeing you again, talking to you, that I didn't have my wits about me. You convinced me at the moment, but then I went away and got to thinking about it. I remembered.
Whatever you remembered is...
The way you looked, the sound of your voice, the nervous little things you did with your hands. They didn't add up. You didn't act like a woman who'd stopped loving a man, who wanted him to go away.
That was just because you didn't want to believe what I told you.
No, but it's funny. I had the feeling there was something you were hiding, something you were holding back. And yet underneath it, I could feel your love for me. I could feel it flowing toward me, strong and deep.
Well, if you're determined to believe this, what can I do?
Nothing. Nothing but give in to your true feelings.
But I tell you, you're wrong, Lance. I told you what my true feelings were that night. Oh, it isn't that I hate you. Of course I don't. I'm fond of you. We've shared things together, but when a thing is over...
Yes, when it is. But we're not over. You can't convince me we are.
Well, if you refuse to listen, to understand...
All right, Lisa. I'll listen. If you can really make me believe you don't love me, I promise I'll go away now, and you'll never be bothered again. Go ahead.
You see, Lance, there are reasons.
Good. Let's hear your reasons.
Do I have to name them one after the other?
Well, why not? If you have reasons, if they're real, you ought to be able to.
But you can't always put these things into words.
You should be able to. You should be able to. They're so important.
I don't see that it's necessary. I've told you a fact.
All right, darling. Suppose I help you. You say you don't love me. I'm not saying I don't have it coming to me. I've made some awful mistakes, and I know it. And yet, when people really love each other, they survive mistakes. Now, let me name off the reasons for you, and you tell me if they fit. Are you game?
All right. If it'll make you believe me.
Well, first, I made you unhappy. I was selfish, inconsiderate. And I got the big head, letting those silly babes who hung around make a fool of me.
Yes, Lance. You did make me terribly unhappy.
I know I did. I'll never forgive myself for it. But that's the odd thing, Lisa. I think you have forgiven me. Haven't you? Tell me the truth.
All right, Lance. I have to be honest. That's not the reason.
Then what else?
This is silly, Lance. It won't make any difference. Don't you understand? Sometimes there isn't any definite reason. You'll just have to take my word for it. It's no use.
Well, if you won't give me a reason, I've nothing to fight against.
It isn't that I don't like you, Lance. I feel like a friend to you. But that's all.
Lisa, you don't mean that.
But I do, Lance.
A friend. Well, I guess that does it. I've always thought a man who couldn't take no for an answer, who made a pest of himself, ought to have better sense. I've done all I can. So I'll leave, since you really seem to want me to. This time, you won't be bothered again. Goodbye, Lisa.
Goodbye. No. No, wait, Lance, I can't let you. Lance.
Lisa. Sweetheart. Just a friend, you say? Oh, darling.
I love you, Lance.
Lisa Fenner clung to her husband, whose strong arms seemed like an encircling barrier against the troubled outside world. And she had a terrible fear. She had relinquished their baby son to another woman. Did Lisa dare to tell Lance the truth? And if she did, could she hope that he would forgive her?
Now for our story. Tonight, Aunt Mary's farmhouse was dark and still. But in her bedroom, where the white moonlight spilled through the window open to the clean night air, Aunt Mary lay awake, thinking.
The house feels so peaceful around me tonight. I've lived under this roof so many happy years since Randolph brought me here as a bride. How exciting those first weeks were in my own house. And then when Randy was born. The way the whole feeling changed having a baby. A baby boy. Randolph, so proud. How scared I was. Her baby looked so tiny. And then watching Randy grow up. Those first nights over 20 years ago, after we got the telegram that Randolph had been killed overseas. The house became empty, lonely. Even Randy's being here wasn't much help at first. Then, all the familiar things began to have a meaning again. The clock, because Randolph's hands had touched it so many hundred times. The books he read. The pictures he'd helped me choose. They all began to comfort me somehow. Yes, and now young Randy's home again. From another war, safe at home. And Peggy's grown up, a young woman. If only everything could stay as it is. But I know there'll be changes. There have to be. Peggy's coming marriage. It worries me so. And yet, what can I do? She loves Bill Meade, but whether Bill gets custody of that baby of his or not, Peggy's promised Nicholas to marry him. I don't dare interfere. I can only pray it'll come out right for her. No matter how much you want to, you can't always protect people. When I think of Dell, so unhappy about Lefty, I feel so helpless. It was wonderful having Dell here. But in a way, it was a disappointment, too. I'd been so sure somehow. It seemed as if there must be some connection between Lisa and Wakefield. That she was tied up with something here some way. But I was wrong. Dell talked to Lisa. She would have known if there was anything in it. No, I was wrong.
But Aunt Mary had not been wrong. Her feeling that Lisa Fenner was connected with Wakefield was only too right, although there was no way for her to know this, since Dell Shipley had given the young dancer her solemn promise to keep Lisa's story a secret, to tell no one that Lisa had relinquished her baby son to another woman. Lisa, who at this moment in her dressing room at the Golden Peacock gently releases herself from her husband's embrace.
You do love me. I knew it. Oh, darling, everything's right again now. But why did you try to deceive me? It couldn't work. You see, when it came right down to it, you couldn't let me go.
I tried so hard. I didn't want to show it, Lance, but then when I saw you going through the door, leaving, I couldn't help calling you back.
And thank heaven you did. Another minute and I'd have been gone. I'm afraid that would have ended it, Lisa. I wouldn't have come back again.
I know. And when that door closed, I couldn't stand the thought of you walking away.
Oh, darling.
Sweetheart.
We've wasted so much time. If only you'd given in before, when I went to see you at Lily's apartment. Why did you send me away then, Lisa?
Seemed the best thing to do.
But why? You knew you loved me.
I was afraid we'd never be able to forget so many things that...
But now, you've changed your mind, haven't you?
I'm not sure, Lance. They're still there. All the bad things. There's no way to erase them.
Oh, Lisa, you're wrong. We can forget everything that's happened since we haven't been together. It'll be just as if the time had never existed.
I wonder if it's possible.
It is, Lisa. Believe me. Why, I've forgotten already.
Perhaps my memory's better than yours, then.
You'll forget, too. As soon as we begin living in the present, it'll all blot out. We'll pretend we just started at this moment. Everything will be bright and new.
But...
No buts. No ifs. You've got to believe it. To know our love is strong enough to carry through from the past to the future. Lisa, I promise. I'll never question you about anything you've done since we separated. We won't talk about it. I don't care what you've done.
What I've done? What do you mean, Lance?
Just that knowing you the way I do, I know you couldn't have done anything which would matter. Nothing which could possibly make a difference between you and me.
Oh, Lance, don't be so sure.
But I am.
You mustn't be.
Don't try to discourage me, darling. It's impossible now that I know you love me. It's all that matters.
Lance, just because I've admitted I love you, that still doesn't mean...
It means that nothing in the world will ever separate us. We're together again. Lisa and Lance Fenner. We're a team, Lisa. This is a lifetime partnership. It's a contract with no options. Don't look so scared, sweetheart.
But I am.
Why?
I am.
Why? There's nothing to be afraid of now.
Isn't there? Lance, if anything went wrong now, it'd be so much worse after this.
But nothing will go wrong, I tell you. Nothing can. Now, why don't you relax? I'm in charge from now on. We've got big plans for us. But I don't want to talk about them here. Let's clear out.
Lance, I haven't even put on my makeup.
All right. Make yourself beautiful, darling. You and I are going places.
Going places?
You bet we are. We're going to have music, flowers, champagne. We're going to celebrate. Now, hurry.
Oh, Lance, maybe I'd better just go home. I'm tired. I want to think all this over.
No. That's been the trouble. We've done too much thinking. From now on, we're going to let our hearts guide us instead of our brains.
I'm not sure that works.
Well, let's try it and see. We'll go out somewhere by the lake. I've rented a car.
You mean you were that sure of me?
I was sure of myself. Of my knowledge of you. Now get your hat on. I don't want to waste a minute. This is an occasion, you know. Come on now, smile. Or better still, let me hear you laugh. I don't believe I've heard you really laugh since long before we said goodbye in San Francisco.
I don't feel very much like laughing.
Please, try.
Oh, Len.
Oh, that's it. That's what I like to hear. Oh, Lisa, I love you, baby. Oh, nuts to it. Let it ring.
I'll have to answer it. Hello? Oh, yes, Dell. Yes, Lily left a little while ago. I guess she went home. Did you have a good time at Aunt Mary's? That's good. Oh, well, I was just going to leave, Dell. I want to see you, of course, but couldn't it wait until morning? Oh. Oh, yes, Dell. I understand. All right, then, I'll be up in a few minutes. Yes. Goodbye.
What was that all about?
It was Dell Shipley.
The boss?
Yes.
But why does she have to see you now? Can't be that important. Probably just something about the act.
I don't know, Len. She said it couldn't wait.
But that's crazy. It's late. I don't see why she
She sounded very urgent, as if something had gone wrong. I'm sorry. You'd better go. I don't want to keep you waiting. It may take a long time.
Oh, no, sweetheart. I'll wait if it takes all night. I've waited so long now. Another hour or two won't stop me.
Well, all right.
And tell her to make it fast. Tell her you've got a jealous husband now. And he can't spare a minute of your time. Tell her that from now on, we're a team again. And nothing in the world can come between us.
But Lisa Fenner was worried, uneasy as she went back to Dell Shipley's office. There'd been a note in Dell's voice, a solemnity, which frightened her.